we're live.
Nice.
So good morning. We are excited about this one. We started this by having one of our internal partners on. So Mike Weger was on our very first episode. Then we went through a run of external parties. And that was great because we got outside perspective. But we decided to close this year and then to start next year. We wanted to look internal again and talk a little bit more about Carson and how we're approaching M&A, technology, thoughts around investment. And we could not have a better guest than our own Dani Fava. So Dani, who are you? How do people know you? How did you get over to Carson?
Well, thank you for the intro. And thank you for bringing me to Omaha in the middle of December. I don't know why we didn't put the palm trees in the background.
All right, we'll have you back in January too. All right?
Oh, great. Thanks. I can't wait. But it's great to be here. For the folks listening, I'm Dani Fava, the Chief Strategy Officer here at Carson. I've been here for about 8 months, but I have been in the industry working with independent financial advisors for over 20 years. A big part of that was spent at TD Ameritrade running technology and innovation for financial advisors all around trading, rebalancing, portfolio management, everything that we could do for RIAs to make them more efficient. And that's when I fell in love with the space. That's really where I learned, I started my career on Wall Street out of college. Didn't really love that so much, being on a trading desk, but learned a lot. And then when I went to TD Ameritrade, it was just like, falling in love with the space. Like if you can't be, and if life doesn't lead you down the path of being an entrepreneur, the second best thing is to work with them and for them. Yeah. And it's so fun. And the service we provide to our clients and the service they provide to their clients, it's just, something I love to be involved in. So 10 years at TD Ameritrade doing all things technology for financial advisors, then spent 4 years at Envestnet and really kind of leaned into financial planning, other pieces of technology for financial advisors. And that's kind of what led me here to Carson Group. So happy to be here 8 months in, ready to answer all of your questions. I'm an expert already, all things Carson.
I will say though, it's not overstating it to say that for the first time, it feels like we have a very distinct strategy. And a lot of that has been because of you. So we are very lucky to have you. It was a huge get for Carson Group. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, and I feel like you sold yourself a little bit short based on your background, your expertise and everything. And, I just kind of diving right in, I think one of the things that you spoke about at our Excel conference was the fintech space, the wealth tech space, how that's evolved over the last 5 years, where it was 5 years ago, where it is now. Maybe you can kind of speak to that. Michael, I know I'm jumping right in, but
So I have been working with technology for, like I said, over 20 years. And I think right now is something's happening that I've never, ever seen before. And this is actually what led me to come to Carson, because I knew I had to be at a large RIA, especially an RIA that's aggregating and bringing in other RIAs. And the thing that's happening is this major kind of lean into an explosion of technology driven by artificial intelligence. I've been working with artificial intelligence and machine learning for 7 to 8 years. And at the very beginning, we knew it was this amazing technology and who knew what it could do. And we were trying to do all kinds of different edge cases, but more behind the scenes, like fraud detection and all other kinds of predictive data analytics. But then generative AI happened, right? And ChatGPT came on the scene, and we really saw from a consumer lens what it could do. And then I started kind of leaning into what could it do for financial advisors? How efficient could artificial intelligence make financial advisors in their business and how they talk to clients and the information that they're gathering? And I said, wow, this is going to be really big. And someone's going to need to take the leadership position on behalf of RIAs, because we're about to see RIAs go from being able to effectively manage 100 to 150 clients to being able to effectively manage potentially 300 households for each financial advisor. Yeah, wow. So I see this, right? And I see this explosion happening in the RIA space in regard to technology using artificial intelligence. And I said, wow, I've got to get back closer with RIAs. And what RIAs really need to do is they need to join a larger RIA firm so they can take advantage of this explosive technology. If you look at the Michael Kitcey's map of fintech, right? Yep. It has tripled in the last 4 years. And I haven't seen this year's yet. I'm actually not sure if it's out yet.
It's illegible now.
Oh, yes. You cannot tell that. They're just dots in the universe, right? And because of that volume of technology and the way that innovation is moving so quickly, it's impossible for any one RIA to keep up with that technology on their own. And so what we do here at Carson is we are curators and surveyors of the entire universe. We are bringing in that artificial intelligence, the best technology possible. We are integrating that technology, and we are bringing it to market on behalf of our RIAs. And so when RIAs join us, they're plugging into that immediately, and it's really kind of groundbreaking what the efficiency that we're seeing. It's the most exciting time I've ever been involved in tech in the RIA space, for sure.
Yeah, and to put an M&A lens on it.
Yeah.
When we look at why people sell, most of the time they fall into two camps. So there's the traditional succession or continuity play. I'm going to exit the business at some point. The other reason is capacity for growth, which is exactly what you're talking about right now. And those are the ones we get excited about and we love talking about.
Yes.
So it has changed dramatically. And it's funny you mentioned the Kitsis map. I think back 15 years ago, and it was, 2 or 3 CRMs. It was custodial trading tools. That was it. There was maybe an Allbridge or a Black Diamond. Now, we walk around the Schwab floor at Impact, and I don't even know what half of those firms do.
Yeah.
There's so many opportunities out there.
Yeah, so many opportunities. We know what they all do.
Yeah.
That's our job. But and bringing that technology to our advisors, our partners, that's what really gets me excited. So I'll tell you about. Can I talk about one
Please.
in
Dive
particular?
right in, do it.
So the most recent one that we've brought to market a few short months ago, is an AI meeting transcription and summarization service called Zox with a Z.
Mm-hmm.
And what advisors do with that technology is they bring it onto meetings that they're having with their clients, and so that they don't have to bring a third party in to manually take notes. So think about, number one, the cost savings there.
Right.
And then what they get at the end of that meeting is a summarization with follow-up tasks that they need to do for their clients, things that came up on the call. Now imagine the kind of client service you can provide if everything you ever said you were going to do is automatically captured and then integrated into your CRM, giving you a reminder to go and do that thing, or giving your staff reminders to go and do that thing. So now you have the ability to do that through artificial intelligence. And that is just like the client experience, the wow factor on that, the response that we've gotten from our partners on bringing that tech to market. And there's so much more ahead of that we're working on now. It's been exciting.
It's that instant accountability. And we're gonna come back to that, because you and I are on a project together right now where I see the notes come out. And I asked you the question, how much manipulation do you actually have to do before the notes go out? And the answer was not very much.
Hardly any.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, staying on this topic, I think M&A has really evolved for Carson over the years, where we've been just focused on helping advisors with succession plan. I think with the adaption and involvement, of fintech and wealth tech, it's kind of changing M&A to not necessarily just be succession play, but strategic M&A from that lens as well. So maybe you can kind of speak to, how do you think other strategic acquirers like Carson or some of the bigger aggregators out there, how are they going to view M&A in this lens?
Yeah, I think there's M&A. When we think about it from a strategic acquirer's perspective, we're looking for firms that we can help grow, right? So we have a system here, a system that involves technology, that involves process, and we can apply that system to help these firms grow. So when we're out there looking at opportunities to acquire, we're saying, where can we most easily and most effectively apply our systems and our processes to these firms to help them grow? And the answer is it's wide and vast, right? And so what's really exciting about that is we meet so many owners who are so diverse and so different, but we can help them all. And I love that. It's you can meet a person who's potentially, wants to only work with clients. They don't want to run a business at all. It is not what gets them excited. It's not what gets them, up in the morning, excited to go to work. They don't want to run a business, or they're tired of, maybe they used to like to run the business, but they're tired of it now. Right. And so we see all these different diverse groups of people who serve diverse groups of people, and we can apply our systems and our processes to them, to this vast majority, this kind of vast sea of people, and help help them grow their business in a number of different ways. And that's, I think strategic acquirers are really looking at it now saying, wow, there's a really big sea that we can go fishing in. And it's
Yeah, it is a
really
growth play. It's not an asset play.
That's right.
There's plenty of books for sale. It's the small businesses that want to be an enterprise that we are attracted to. We can bring in, apply those tools, that methodology, and then watch the results.
That's right.
And I think we always talk about, being able to control our own data, because with all the different services out there, if we need to swap one, how hard is it going to be if you don't own the data to do that?
Oh man, I'm so happy you brought that up. I'm just like it's kind of my favorite topic. And when I met Carson for the first time, like one of the first things we talked about was this data and how he had this vision of owning data. And everything Omani does is kind of like he did it before his time, right? It was almost too early. Nobody could understand what he was doing, right? Bleeding edge.
The OG.
Right. And so he had this vision of, hey, we need to own our own data. And he was running in circles with these innovators, right? And entrepreneurs, probably the ones who were about to bring us things like ChatGPT. And he had the foresight to know that owning your data and controlling your data was going to be the most valuable thing. Mm-hmm. And so he made the investment to build a data warehouse and to own that data and organize that data and put it to good use years ago. And so now we sit in a position where we are so nimble and so ready to plug into these new technologies to kind of surface opportunities, predict data, predict opportunities for our advisors, and to be able to use that data for their benefit. It's been, it's like I've come to Carson and I'm like a kid in a candy store because, all of this hard work has been done already. And now it's really just about realizing the value. So it's been, great time.
Good. All right. So let's move to one of the questions that you wanted to chat about. So Cheryl Penny of Dynasty recently made a comment about RIAs not losing the office culture, which we all took to mean you can't ditch brick and mortar. So do you agree with that, and why?
Okay. So, I think probably a lot of people disagree with this because so many companies are going virtual and we can do so much virtually now. So Cheryl came out with this kind of like disruptive statement and he said, we've got to be careful. You have to tell RIAs not to lose the brick and mortar. And I sat with that for a second. I said, you know what? I think Cheryl's actually right. Because when I think about an RIA and the service that they provide to clients and where that's headed, especially with all this technology innovation, there's one thing that's a really strategic differentiator for that RIA, and that is the time and presence that they have with their clients. Right. And so I really think there's something there about coming into an office, sitting with your advisor, being in their environment, looking face to face, having that human connection that actually can't always be. It can sometimes be, but it can't 100% be done over a screen, right?
I agree.
I come to Omaha to see you guys. If that doesn't say like we need like in person, we could have done this over Zoom. Would not have been the same. Right. And so there's something really special there. And I actually think it's one of the only things that will remain in terms of differentiation, right? You look out 5 to 10 years when technology is going to really, it's going to automate most things, right? It's going to commoditize most things. But the behavioral aspect becomes one of the only things that's a differentiator. And the way you interact with your clients and sit with them and tell them that everything is going to be okay because I got you, that's one of the only things in the future that sets an RIA apart. Right. Now, why is this important for a firm like Carson, right? That's like, why is this important? Because we meet advisors, especially at, maybe bigger wirehouses, and they want to break away, but they're like, wondering, can I do it all virtually? Do I need to set up an office? Or maybe I can join someone else's office. Right.
It's daunting to do on your own.
It's daunting. Yeah. Oh my gosh, the amount of things that you have to do to kind of break away or build your own business or grow your own business. If you're growing, get a bigger office, do all of these things.
While playing defense over your own clients.
That's really daunting. And so for a firm like Carson, where we have this incredible national presence, we have a lot to offer there, right? We have a lot of these places for advisors who want to break away to maybe join a Carson office, become independent, but join a brick and mortar that we already have in place. And as we grow, that opportunity continues to grow for us to do that, to offer that to advisors looking to break away. And I think that we're in the right spot for that future growth.
Yeah, I agree. And I think if you look or talk to, especially those breakaway advisors, their wish list, and also the reason that most keeps them in place is their desire for physical space,
Yeah.
the ability to go somewhere and feel that connection with their compatriots and also with their clients.
Yep, exactly.
So I think we all agree on that.
Yeah, we agree with Cheryl. He's right. He's right on that.
Right. He's right about a lot. So let's chat about another topic. You have commented multiple times about advisors coming to Carson to find their second act. So what do you mean by that, and how does that apply to our world in M&A?
Yeah, and second act is such an important thing for us as a culture right now, right? I think we're living longer and healthier and more fulfilled lives, which is a wonderful thing. And this second act is something that I think people become, bored, stagnant. They've achieved all they can achieve in their current environment.
Right.
Now think about that from an RA owner's perspective, right? They're running a business, they've got a book of clients, and it's so valuable, and they've achieved kind of everything they wanted to achieve doing this thing. And they're saying, like, what's my next move?
Right.
Well, it could be succession to Carson, but what does that mean for my second act? Well, like, the beauty of coming to Carson is that we can take all of the things that you don't want to do anymore, right? Like I think about it in terms of,
and there's a lot.
There's a lot that we do. There's a lot of compliance, technology, operations, trading, marketing, like
HR
all of these.
reviews.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man. So many
It's the
things.
exciting one.
Right.
And we can do that all for the financial advisor while they go and find their second act. And that could be in the business.
Mhm.
Like, the thing that I love about it is, hey, maybe there's something in the business or for Carson that owner wants to do, or maybe they just want to transition inside of their own business and give all of this work away while they grow a new division of their business, right? I was talking to we had a roundtable event in Philadelphia last week, and there's an advisor there who really loves his tax business, but he really wants to focus more on the tax portion of his business, just really digging in and diving into. It's not what I would love to do.
I'm thinking the same thing. Yes.
But that's what he's
he's
a CPA by trade, and just like, it's his background, it's his passion. And he has almost accidentally grown this incredible wealth management business. And he wants somebody to take that and care for it and love it the way he did, but wants to really dig into his tax business. Well, that's the kind of second act that I'm talking about when I say, like, Carson can help create that space for an RIA's second act, and go be you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the history of Carson, and I kind of love this history that advisors used to come to Carson to be like Ron, right? Like now Omani, and they used to come here to be like Omani, and now we're saying, hey, come to Carson to be you, right? Like, come to Carson to do what you want to do, that you see is your fulfillment. And I think we follow in Omani's footsteps, even doing that. Like, go find what makes you happy. We'll create the space for you to find your freedom. And that's second act. That, to me, that's, for a lot of people, that's second act.
Yeah, it's a beautiful way to think about it. And I would also say, we are going through our second act right now, wouldn't you say? With the leadership we've brought in and the outside talent perspective. I mean, this is very much a second act for what Carson Group looks like.
Yes. In the last 2 years, we have grown from 20 billion to over 40 billion in assets. And we have really, like, put our foot on the gas pedal of growth. And that is our second act. You're right. At the beginning, we grew and created a sustainable business and created space for other RAs to come here. Now we've created all of that. And our second act is putting our foot on the pedal and really accelerating the growth. And it is a great way to think about it.
Well, and I think we talked to so many advisors out there that, they got into the business, they grew their business, but then when they became CEO, chief investment officer, chief technology officer, started wearing all those hats, their growth kind of stalled because they're just doing too much. And when we talk to them, they're like, well, I'm looking for a strategic partner like a Carson, so I can get back to doing the things I liked doing when I first got into the business, which is growing their business. And so a lot of advisors' second act may be just, hey, I just want to focus on clients. I want to run, put my head down, partner with somebody like Carson that can offload all the stuff that I don't like doing.
Exactly. Perfect.
Yeah.
So
where can I put all the stuff I don't like doing?
let's talk. Most of the time on the show, we're having conversations around wholly owned. So when most people think about M&A, more often than not, they're thinking one advisor buying another advisor's book of business, or a firm like Carson buying a larger enterprise and having that become a flagship office of Carson. But let's talk a little bit about minority investment. And I know this is something that not a lot of people do, at least not the way we do it. There are highly successful lenders out there that do minority investing. There's not a lot of platform offerings like a Carson that does minority offering. So I know you, as head of strategy, have been working on our strategy around minority investing. It may be a little too early to give away the game, but do you want to talk a little bit about how we're thinking about that and how that sort of fits into our plans go forward?
Yeah, I do, and I also want to tell you why I like this space so much, this minority investment, because I think about first, who is this right for, right? So who would want to do, which owners out there would want to do a minority investment or take on a minority investor? And the owners who want to do that are really smart financial advisors, number one, right? Because they're thinking, wow, I'm out telling my clients about how they have to diversify their investments. What about me? My biggest investment is my business, right? And am I not diversifying it? So number one, it's a smart play. And so it's these advisors who are really being mindful of their own wealth and their future. And so diversifying it, meaning taking some of Carson's equity, is a really good move, and they can find that diversification. The second characteristic of somebody who will do a minority investment is somebody who wants to reinvest in their business, right? Rapid growth. So, I mean, heck, we want to partner with, we want to partner with advisors who want to grow their business rapidly. And so we're able to not only make this investment in their business, but also be their platform. So let me talk about that for a second, because there are lenders or financiers out there who will say, here, I'll invest 25% in your business, and we'll meet once a year to go over the decisions that you've made and how you're running the business, and they're not getting any help, right? They're not getting any help. So this type of minority investment that comes by with being a platformer is, not only are we going to make the investment, but we're in it with you, right? We are in it. We want you to grow. Guess what? Not because we love you, we do, but we also we have an investment in your business, and we're going to help you grow. And so we're going to extend the platform to you, which is everything that we do. Technology, compliance, marketing. I'm sure you guys talk about this all the time, the whole long list of things that we do. And we're an investor we're alongside you, and we are going to help you grow. And you can reinvest back into your business alongside a platform that is, this is what we do for a living. We help you grow, and you're not giving up control, right? And that's the other thing. It's this type of person, that is looking for this minority investment, but they still really believe in themselves. And I have a lot of conversations with RIAs, and it's what I love about entrepreneurs, right?
Right.
They don't want to bet on anyone more than they want to bet on themselves.
Data be damned.
Yep. Exactly.
I appreciate it.
Right. I appreciate it too. It's one of the things I love about it. And so they want to maintain control, but they want all of these wonderful things that come with having an investor who's really going to help them grow. But at the end of the day, they believe in themselves. And that's that kind of business arrangement, I think, has the potential to be incredibly successful. So we are really leaning into minority investment for all of those reasons.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Ted Motherall, a close friend of Carson and a terrific attorney to boot, made a comment about advisors loving to have a firm like Carson on their side of the table when they're approaching inorganic growth opportunities. And I think there's so much truth to that. If you can bring on a partner that knows how to grow like we do and can supercharge that at a local level, allow the diversification of your holdings, and allow you to take that bet on yourself. If you think you're going to outgrow us, then by all means, let us help you do that.
Well, and I think minority also opens the door where we talk time and time again, meeting the advisor where they're at, right? Sometimes they don't need to sell their entire practice. It might not be what's in their best interest. So offering a minority investment to them makes sense for both us and them. We can help them grow. They can take some chips off the table, to your point, to diversify and continue down that path to, hey, in the future, you have a partner like Carson to help you get to that next level.
Yep.
Yeah, and there's a huge demographic component too. I mean, a lot of times we see, fathers or mothers and sons and daughters, you might have the parent that's ready to sell, but a son or daughter that's not.
Mhm.
Yeah. What a great
So,
solution,
yeah,
right? It's a great
exactly.
solution that works for everybody
I love it.
because the parent wants it and the child wants to retain ownership,
Yeah.
but the parent wants an exit and they
Mhm.
deserve
Right.
that too.
Absolutely.
So it is a
Yeah.
really, and the parents also setting their child, their succession plan up for success by partnering them with Carson. So they're making a great decision for the future of their business and their
Yeah.
G2.
I'm really excited about this. So it'll be great to continue to roll this out. We'll have to have you back so we can talk about this officially when it's all live too. Okay, so let's go to valuation. We cannot get out of this show without talking about valuation in some fashion. It's either valuation, mentioning
Multiples.
Laura Delaney, talking about multiples.
Yeah.
There's key items in each one of these.
Yeah, Lord,
things.
Lord, like he was going.
So let's talk about, this is where we're going full circle back to Zox. So we're on a project right now, revising how we do valuations, or at least how we approach it, and try and take more of a composite view rather than a strictly one or two criteria. So would you take a moment to talk about, in your opinion, what's the most important aspect of valuation, or what's the biggest contributor to enterprise value?
Yeah, I may give a boring answer that's very well expected here.
Probably what we talked about.
And
but it's going to be from you.
It's going to be for me. So, we can talk a little bit more about what we see in terms of firms who are doing this well. But I do think the most important factor in evaluation is organic growth. Like it isn't, it actually isn't size. EBITDA is really important too. Like running a healthy business is important. Organic growth is I think rises to the level of being the most important factor in firm valuation. And but it's not the only factor, like you said. So we look at things that's quantitative and qualitative, right? And so the quantitative is organic growth, the AUM, the EBITDA, like all of concentration risk, all of these things. And the qualitative stuff is really important to us too, right? Is there a G2 in office, and how are your clients sticky? Like, what has your value proposition been to your clients? And are you having a lot of churn? That those types of like qualitative factors are really important to us too. But it really comes down to organic growth, which now think about that, how qualitative factors, how they affect organic growth. I think it's really the fun.
Through this whole exercise.
Yes, we found through this whole exercise. It's been that's been my
fun.
favorite. It's really fun. It's really fun to think about it and talk about it and talk about how nerd out on a scorecard. And how these qualitative factors all point back to, and we sometimes even wonder, one of the debates that we have is, do we even need to measure these qualitative factors, because won't they all show up in the organic growth number? And that's been like such a mind-blowing thing. You're like, oh wow, yeah, they probably would, because if you're doing all of these qualitative things correctly, and you've got the culture, and you've got the diversity in your firm, and you've got all of these things that you're doing really well, it will show up in your organic growth number. And that's kind of been like almost like a revelation for us, especially as a chief strategy officer. If I've got to be driving the strategy of the firm, it's probably been the biggest way to actually like kind of solidify for me the importance of a lot of these qualitative factors. And I want to share that with firms listening, is that, you don't start by looking at the organic growth number. You can't start there. You start by looking at all of the qualitative things and all the things you're offering, and the relationship that you have, and the efficiency that you can add to your business, so that you can spend more time with your clients, more time prospecting, more time on events. You're doing all of these things, and then you look at the organic growth number, right? Because it will change if you focus on these other factors. So that has been a fun exercise. Organic growth is definitely the most important and telling, I think, of factor. And the other thing that's fun about the organic growth factor, is the trend leading up to it, right? The other part that we've kind of like dove deep into and said, how do we measure this, is that it's not just where your organic growth number is right now. It's how it's been trending over time.
Right. And how'd you get there?
And how'd you get there, right? So it's not about being the best. It's about being better, right? So, and that's the other thing that's really encouraging, I think, is that, don't look at it as say, I'm at a 3% organic growth now, and I really need to be at a 10. Look at it as, well, I was at a 1 3 years ago,
Right.
and then I was at a 2, and then I was at a 3, because we place a lot of value in that too. When we look at firms,
continuous improvement.
The continuous improvement. Yeah, you don't have to be the best, but if you're getting better, like that's those are the kind of firms we're really.
It checks a lot of boxes.
Yeah.
It's almost. I love seeing the timeline. So like a chronology of the firm's history along with that growth story. Because I think it's neat to see where the investment was made and how that shows up in the growth number.
Yes.
And sometimes it's okay to have maybe a less than stellar P&L for a year because you are investing in business development or client retention or organic growth. However you want to think about it or where you want to put the money. But it's interesting to see that trend line and how that can impact valuation so drastically.
Yes. And then okay, let's make it go full circle back to minority investment.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So if you're wondering, how do I move the needle on my organic growth? Because I'm not ready to sell
Where do
yet.
I start?
Where do I start?
Yeah.
Right. And I've talked to so many firms who say, I'm going to sell in 3 years, but I need to clean up first. I need to do so many things better. And it's like, well, how are you going to do that? One of the clear and easy paths to doing that, to realizing your full potential, is to enter into an engagement like this, right? With Carson, a minority engagement where we're giving you the platform and we're giving you the investment and we're sticking by your side and we're teaching you all the things that make a highly valuable firm, so that in 3 years, as you expect, you can realize the full value and the full potential of that sale.
We have a firm right now, and I won't use any names because we're still working on it. But you look at it's somebody we use in an example when we bring prospective direct partners or potential M&A candidates into Omaha, and you can look at this firm and see as they joined at less than a fifth of the size that they're at today, and see the investment we've made and the two owners have made repeatedly to grow that firm both organically and inorganically. And they have gotten to the point now where when they sell, which we're talking about, there will be a generational wealth moment for multiple of those advisors. And it's personally gratifying to see somebody. I mean, I've only known them for a couple of years, but to see what they've done and how they've grown to that level, there's not a lot of firms that can do that. And I think the full circle of coaching to a direct partner, just using us as a platform and a partner, to then talking minority and then eventually a full sale, that's an exciting life cycle for an advisor to go through.
Yeah, when I think sometimes advisors have a plan like, okay, I want to get EBITDA to this certain number. Continuing to do it themselves might take you a few extra years than if you partnered with a firm like Carson to help you offload that. So I think understanding what your options are and exploring what minority looks like is super valuable to help you hit that number, possibly even sooner.
Yeah.
That's great. Dani, other thoughts, or maybe let's just zoom out, talk macro level M&A. Where do you see this going? How long of a tailwind, or how strong of a tailwind do we have, and how long is the bull market going to last?
It's so hard to say. I mean, it's so hard to predict. I can tell you we are in it right now. We're in the bull market right now. I think other industries have been consolidated, like other industries in our space, and I've witnessed so much of that over my career. And some has taken some time, right? So asset managers, they've consolidated by and large. Custodians, they've consolidated, right?
Right.
I was real close to one of those at TD Ameritrade, and you wonder, like, okay, so as this consolidation is happening, like, when does it end? Like, does it have an end? What I can say is that yes, all of these things are finite, right? They're not. It's not going to. Right, exactly. Like there is an end. I don't quite know when it is, and I know we're in a height right now of this consolidation. And I think we'll see we'll see it shape up more within the next 2 years, and we'll be able to predict like how long will this last. But all I can say is, like, now's the time to take advantage of it when you know you're in it, right? You know you're in it. You know you're in the height of multiples. I don't want to leave without saying the word multiples. So you're in the height of multiples right now.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good time to exploit it. And when there's a minority offering on the table, which keeps you in control and keeps you in a majority ownership position at the height of these multiples, or potential height. I don't know if we're at the ceiling. It is a good time to take advantage of it.
Yeah, it's remarkable. You look back 2 years ago, everybody was concerned that interest rates were going to drive valuations down. Didn't happen in the least. If anything, they accelerated. Now you might have seen people pause for integration or wait out the market a little bit more, maybe get pickier on the acquisitions, but it certainly didn't change transaction volume. As those big firms maybe paused, lots of other firms came in and started getting really aggressive. So I think we've got 10 years left, just based on demographics alone. There's so many older advisors that are looking for a solution, and now a lot more younger advisors that are looking to solve that capacity issue.
And more PE firms deciding to enter into the wealth management space. And providing capital for those first-time buyers.
Yeah,
so,
that's right.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts or things that you want to share with the average M&A maybe newbie that's listening?
I would say it's take a look, right? Like that's I think it's no risk commitment to have a conversation.
Is it too hacky to say know your worth?
Oh, it might not. I mean, that's a little cheesy. I could do cheesy.
Bad joke in there.
Your wife's gonna love that one. Your daughter.
I think come have a conversation with Carson. Zero risk commitment to have a look. It's kind of fun to know your worth. See, I did it.
You better than I am. You Dani, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. We'll have you back, and really glad you're able to do this here in Omaha too.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Great being here.